Hi Darshana, how are you?
Yes, sir. Fine, sir. How are you?
I'm good too, thank you. So can you tell us something about yourself?
Yes, sir. My name is Darshana. I am from Tamil Nadu. I have completed my graduation in BE Computer Science Engineering,
Mhm.
and I am a fresher. And coming to my strengths and weakness, my strength is self-motivated and hard worker, and I'm give my dedication to 100% dedication to any work. And coming to my weakness, I'm shy and nervousness in public speaking. And my goal is to become a knowledgeable personality to achieve a better position where I can build my career. And coming to my technical skills, I have so far now I have strong knowledge in manual testing. Yeah,
Okay,
that's all about myself.
okay. So when you are introducing yourself, so the very first thing you mentioned about name, you mentioned about the graduation part that you have done. Then if the interviewer is not asking, you can avoid telling about strength and weakness, right? What is
As a
important
fresher,
is,
I
yeah,
need
please
to
go
tell.
ahead.
I think I need to tell the strength and weakness as a fresher.
Oh,
So I
okay.
said,
Yeah, no worries. So if they are not asking it directly, you can avoid. What they are interested to listen is, what do you know about testing? Why do you want to make your career in software testing? Right? There are so many opportunities, there are so many career paths that are available that can be taken by you. But why you want to become a software tester? So you can start by telling, I'm passionate about testing, I am curious about working on softwares, right? Whenever any application is coming, I'm installing it so that I can come to know about the user experiences. Then what what makes you different from other people? Now there are so many people out there, freshers as well as experienced, who are looking for a job in software testing. What makes you different? So you can start about your project, the project that you have done, if that is related to the testing. If you have done any other project which is non-technical, then you can avoid telling. But if you have done any project related to testing, or if you have tested any website, you have found any defects, you have found any observations, so you can start, you know on that note. That will be a very positive impression. In strength and weakness, that is a kind of a generic question that you might get in an HR round, right? But you would be able to move to the HR round only if you clear the technical round, right? So in technical interviews, when you are asked to tell something about yourself, so speak what they want to listen. Then you will get, then they will, they will be able to, uh, it will be easier for them to get convinced to hire you, right? What makes you passionate about making your career in the field of software testing? So you can tell about these things, applications, softwares, right? Then you can also give some example of your analytical skills, right? If you just say my analytical skills are good, so that is a theoretical part. How they are good, now you will have to prove, right? So you can take some example. Maybe you have tested something, you have found bug in that, maybe in Disney
yeah,
Hotstar.
actually,
Yeah, for
so
example, in,
AI things.
yeah, real time use cases. For example, I'm just taking an example. You are watching one match on Disney Hotstar, right? And you could see that 4 crore people were watching the Kohli's batting during India versus New Zealand match, right? So what about that aspect? Performance testing comes into the picture, right? Then if you see 1 or 2 days back, there were some errors that were coming on the Disney Hotstar when one of the match was getting played, right? So those kind of scenarios, those kind of real time use cases, you have to pull out. Okay, see, while I was watching this, I came across this mistake, came across this spelling mistake, came across this abrupt user behavior, came across this functionality which was not fine, and I highlighted it. Maybe that's another thing, whether you get response from the other party or not. But in an interview, you have already crossed first phase. right? So that's how you can start initiate, because this is the question where the interviewers will be more interested in. You might be telling about your strength and weakness, your hobbies, but they are more interested in what how much technically you are strong, right? So those things you have to take care, right? Rest all looks good. Okay, then let's move to the next question. um what is the difference between test case and test scenario?
Test case is a detailed set of instructions or conditions that the tester follows to assess whether the software functions correctly or not.
Hmm.
This is a test case. In test scenario, it is a high-level overview of what needs to be happened, and it in this we cover the end-to-end functionality of the software system.
Correct, correct. Okay. So test scenario is a high level, what you want to test. Test case is a detailed level with test steps also, with the navigation flow and all those things, right? So that's good. Okay, now let's go with the scenario based questions. Okay. Let me know once my screen is visible.
It's,
It is visible.
yes, sir.
Okay. Now you have you have one application like Flipkart. Do you use Flipkart?
Yes, sir.
Do you use Amazon?
Yes, yes, sir.
Both? Okay. Which one do you like, Flipkart or Amazon?
Um, Anything, sir. I just randomly pick any of this.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
Not specific.
Right,
Mm.
right. So this is the application, and let's say you have to buy a pen, right? Now you have added that item two times to the cart using add to the cart button, right? But in the cart, only one entry for an item should be displayed with quantity as two. So how will you test this? You're getting the question, right? This is the behavior. This is a requirement that you have got. Now, how will you test this? What will be your approach?
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Please give it a
First,
try.
I'll check. First, I'll check whether uh, the the product I added to the cart is displayed in the uh, cart or not, and
So that will be displayed. So the product will be displayed. And if you want to add, if you have added the item two times, so you should be able to see two over there. So how will you test this? Right? So till here is the behavior, till here is the requirement. Do you want me to help you out?
yes, sir.
Hmm. See, whenever you add the item, maybe one time, two time, three times, then you should see that numeric quantity is getting updated or not, right? So you would have heard about CRUD operations. One is create, one is rename, one is update, one is delete operation. So this is the operation in which update is taking place, right? So you will have to test it, whether it is getting updated. If you have added item two times, then two should be displayed. If you have added item three times, then three should be displayed. Then again, the another scenario will come, two products multiple times. For example, along with pen, you also took pencil, right? Then if you have added both the items two times, so two entries should be there of two, right? Two rows should be there, one of pen and one of pencil. Now let's take to the next test case or test scenario. What that is, if you have added a pen with different companies, right?
Mm.
Then also the different row item should be displayed, right? What if you remove one of the entry? If you come to this page, remove one of the entry, and then again you check, right? Add one of the entry and again you check. So that's how you can test it, right?
In this, we
So
approach regression testing.
sorry.
This is regression testing we use to test.
No. So this is nothing related to the regression testing or retesting. This is simply functional testing. How you will test this functionality, right? This is already the behavior that is given to you, right? They have asked you how you will test this, right? So when you will get a job, as a tester, so you will be given a BRD, business requirement document would be available with you, maybe in the form of Jira user story or maybe in the form of Word document. And you will have to read those documents thoroughly, and then you will have to start testing, right? Here it was a small requirement, so I had just used this, but you will get BRD, you will get FRD, maybe you will have some questions in them, right? So you will have to come up with those kind of things. But here it's simple, the question of requirement is there and you have to tell how you will test it, right? Simple. Okay, let's take now this scenario. Okay, now there is a screen, okay, in which you can enter the data, right? In this application there is also a generate PDF functionality, right? So whatever PDF you will generate, that contains all the data on screen A. So whatever data that you have entered on screen A, all those things will be available in the PDF also once it is generated, right? So how much time will you take to test this functionality? So this is the question related to the testing time estimation. Should I repeat
So
the
can you
question? Yeah.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. See, I am able to help you once, twice, thrice, but you will have to tell, right? See, it's an application, right? It has got two screens. One is in which you can enter the data, that is screen A, right? And in the another screen, you will have generate PDF functionality. So you can click on generate PDF, and the PDF will contain all the data that you have entered on screen A.
Okay.
Now, how will you estimate? How will you tell how much time do you need to test this? For example, if I tell you that you have to test Facebook application, then how much time do you need it? Similarly, this is another application. How much time?
For
2 hours, 30
30
minutes?
minutes, 30
30,
minutes,
30 minutes will be sufficient to test this?
maybe 1 hour.
1 hour, you will be able to complete it? Are you sure?
Depends on the amount of data that is entered.
Exactly. That's what I was looking for. So this requirement is incomplete, right? You don't know how many fields are there on screen A. You don't know how many users or what permission user needs to enter the data, right? So that's how, so they're half-cooked data. If the requirement is incomplete, then you are supposed to ask question that any questions, how many fields are there, right? How much time would it take to generate the PDF? For example, when you generate the PDF, it takes 5 minutes, right? But in the requirement, it is written that as per client, they need only in 2 minutes. Then it's the bug, right? So those kind of things you have to come up, right? So if those things are not mentioned in the requirement, then it's your responsibility, it's a tester's responsibility to ask those questions upfront. Because once you will give estimation, for example, you gave me the estimation of 30 minutes, I'm okay with it. You take 1 hour, I'm okay with that. It's an interview. But in a real time and job, what would happen once you will take 2 hours? For example, you told it will take 2 hours, and then you are not able to complete in 2 hours. You're not able to sign off. Then they'll feel you are not working as per the productivity. But but the point is that the requirement is not clear
Yes, sir. I
before
understand.
starting. Yeah, so before starting the testing, before starting the test case writing also, what is important? The requirement should be clear in your mind. You should know what needs to be tested, right? I'm not telling you to memorize the requirement. I'm not telling you to, learn the requirement, but you should understand the requirement. Your understanding should be on a good 80 to 90% of level. Then 5 to 10% queries, questions, that is fine. Fine, Darshna? Okay,
Yes.
great. Okay, so scenario-based questions, this will be asked to you in an interview. You have to be prepared for them. Okay, now let's move further. What is the difference between regression testing and retesting?
In regression testing, it is done to ensure that the changes may not affected the unaffected part of the application,
Mm-hmm.
and it is used to authenticate the code changes does not affect the existing functionality and
Correct.
works fine with the new functionality. And in retesting, it is done to ensure the bugs are fixed. After the bugs are fixed, it is the retesting is done,
Mm,
and it is for failed test cases. And regression testing is for past test cases.
okay,
Yeah, this
okay, fine.
that
Okay, what are the different types of testing you are aware of?
unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and acceptance testing, the regression testing, and smoke testing, sanity testing, functional testing, mm, white box testing, black box testing.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's it.
that's it.
Okay. You were telling something about acceptance testing. What is acceptance testing?
This, it is done by the end user to check the software application whether it meets the customer requirements or not. Only if it meets the customer requirements, they'll accept the software.
Right. So
That
what are
is
the types of acceptance testing? Can you give me an example? So generally, whenever these questions are asked to you in an interview, always along with the theoretical, so your theoretical answers are perfect. You're doing good. Along with that, give some real-time example, right? So the interviewer will come to know the level of understanding you have. If you give the right example, he will be very much confident on hiring you, right? Examples, any real-time examples for acceptance testing and types of acceptance testing. Are you aware about
okay.
types of? Oh, that's fine. See, this is a mock interview. I'll help you. Alpha testing and beta testing, right?
Sir,
Alpha and beta testing are the types of acceptance testing.
I
Now,
know,
now,
but I don't know this is the type of acceptance.
okay, okay, no worries. So now you came to know, right? So now in a real-time interview, you would be able to answer this question, right? Okay, now tell me, what is alpha testing? What is beta testing?
Alpha testing is done by the testers inside their location, and beta testing is done by the end user and inside their location.
Okay, what are the other differences?
It's done by both developers and done by both alpha testing is done by both testers and customer, and beta testing is done by customer.
Mm-hmm. So, so which testing is performed at the developer's end? Beta testing, right?
Developer side,
Yeah. Beta testing would be done, right?
yes.
Okay. Which are the other
No,
differences
I
that you are
think
aware? Mm-hmm. You want to take some time to think?
no, sir, I'm not aware.
Okay, that's fine. See, this is a mock interview. Yeah, smile, be chill, right? Don't worry. See, I'll give you the answer. Alpha testing involves both white box as well as black box testing, right? While beta testing is using only black box testing. Alpha testing would be performed at the developer's end, while beta testing would be performed at the end user of the product, right?
Sir, you said before beta
Yeah,
test, alpha
yeah.
testing is done.
So I was trying to confuse you. I was looking like how much level of confident you are, right? So it's like I was telling you that you would. Uh, so alpha testing, I was telling you about alpha testing because I was sure that you will immediately come up with the point that no, it's alpha testing is done at the developer's end, right? But somehow you got confused, so that's fine, right? But in a real-time interview, now you can remember these things, right? Then developers can immediately address the critical issues or fixes in the alpha testing, right? While in the beta testing, the feedback that is collected or the issues those are found, those will be implemented in the future versions of the product until unless those are critical or not, right? Then alpha testing may require a long execution cycle. Beta testing requires only a few weeks of execution, right? Is this clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is state transition testing? Are you aware about techniques of testing?
I don't aware of the state.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. So, see, in testing, you will get various techniques, right? So, state transition testing is one of the technique, and it is actually a black box testing technique. Along with this, you will also have white box testing techniques. In state transition technique, what happens is a user or a tester will observe the behavior of the system, right, for different input conditions in the sequence, right? Both happy path, that is positive values, if you enter, what will be the output? If you enter negative input values, what would be the output? What would be the behavior of the system? Those things are observed. So that is state transition testing, right? Now why this is done? Because you have to test the behavior of the system under various input conditions, as I have mentioned, under positive, under negative also, right? You will test the dependency of the values. You will test the change in the transition that is happening in the application properly or not, right? So those things you will be testing. So there are various advantages for state transition testing technique, and it can be useful for testing also, right? It is very widely used across, by many testers in it, and it also depends on application to application which technique you would like to go for, right? Generally, in which you will have this variety of input conditions, possibilities, and permutation combinations, you can go for state transition testing technique, right? Are you aware about boundary value analysis, equivalence partitioning?
Yes, sir.
Right. So what
Boundary
is
value.
Hmm.
In boundary value analysis, we test the boundary conditions of the input and output. We test the boundary condition on, above, or below the edges of the input and output. Uh, Input and output of equivalence class. Sir, video is not.
Mm-hmm. Now
Sir,
is it visible? Yeah. Yeah. So you were telling something about input and
In boundary value condition, we test the boundary conditions of input. Sorry, in boundary value analysis, we test the boundary conditions of uh, boundary conditions on, below, or above the edges of the input and output equivalence classes.
correct.
And in this, we take example of uh, if the user ages from 0 to 100, it will test above the maximum limit and below the minimum limit, and not in the middle.
Can you give me some
We
example?
test the 0.
Yeah. Please go ahead. Please
Yes,
go ahead.
the age between the, if, for example, the take application take the input as user age as 0 to 100. It may be 0 to 100. In this, we test 0, -1, and 100, 101. This is called boundary value analysis.
Okay. So let
In
this be
equivalence part,
in equivalence partitioning. Please go ahead.
in equivalence partitioning, we divide the input data into each partition and select the test cases in each partition, and if it assumes if any one of the value in the partition works fine, and then all the values in that partition works fine. That is called equivalence partition. In this, we test the middle values. If, for example, the previous example, the 0 to 100, we test 0 to 100, that is valid. That is called equivalence partition.
Okay, fine. So there are a few corrections in your answer, right? First of all, you have to tell what types of testing techniques these are. Are these black box? Are these white box?
Black box.
Right?
Black
So,
box.
right. And then once you take the examples, right, you will have to be clear with those examples. What is the range of the values? As per the two techniques, what you will take, what you will not take, why you are taking only those values, right? So let this be an open question for the people who are watching this interview. Give me the put in the comment section of the video the examples of BVA, boundary value analysis, and equivalence partitioning, right? So that any example you can take with the help of which you can explain about these two techniques. Okay. Okay, Darshana. Yeah, I'm done with this interview. Do you have any questions for me?
Can you give me feedback?
Yeah. So feedback is positive. You have good theoretical knowledge. You will have to improve on the scenario-based questions. You will have to improve on the analytical skills. Take care of the introduction part. Right. Rest all looks good.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, and wish you all the best for your future.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.